Ooh, better. That's a good bottle of whiskey, too. I should probably take that to my house. My collection, I'm thinking.
Maybe you should get us a glass and we should drink this.
It's like 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it's hockey tournament day.
Whatever.
They don't play till 6. I mean,
we have to drink these first, though, don't we?
You're right. So we'll put it right here. Look at that.
Thank you, guys. That's a really good bottle of whiskey. I really enjoy Angel's Envy.
I don't know better enough, but I bet it's good.
This is GRL Raw, the podcast where the GRL team tells you why they're different. Who the hell are they? Why should you want them fighting for you? The industry leader in law with over 180 years of combined experience. This team is here to shed light on crucial topics in law to keep you aware and informed, because it comes back to the primary point. We give a damn.
All right, welcome to GRL Raw. This is episode 9.
It took me 9 episodes to get on this thing?
As in Niner.
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, there's a couple of ways you can look at it. One, we had no other options because we got through all the attorneys and one staff member.
Or saving the best for last.
That's a way to look at it.
Okay.
Regardless, episode 9, I am joined by, in case people don't know, Cory C.F. Gourley, who is the G in the GRL.
The OG.
The OGG. Founding partner. Actually, I don't ever like to give you credit for anything in life, and we know this.
That's for sure.
But the whole GRL thing was your idea. Was it not?
It was. Yeah.
You care to give us a quick, how does that work? How did you get
description?
What people really want to know is, how did you get your name first?
Well, I would suspect most people would already assume I should be first, but no, I had a previous. I was involved in a previous firm, and we had decided to go separate ways. And I was contemplating what was next in life, and for some reason, generally I'm known for good decision making, but for some reason, I had you in mind.
You're welcome.
And I called you up and said, hey, can I come over? I want to chat about something. And you said, we haven't talked for like 6 months, because you were raising kids at the time. And
Kid.
Yeah.
Brand new baby.
Yeah.
Drake might have been 1, 2. Yeah,
said,
he was chewing on coffee tables.
I said, I want to
Still is.
run something by you. Yeah, now he's in college. Now it's concerning. So I dropped by and I said, I got an idea. And you're like, what? And I said, how about we start a law firm?
Yeah.
And you're like, huh. And so we kind of walked through the idea, and you said, well, let me talk to my wife about it.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you. And you called me the next day and said, okay, I'm in, but you know Lindholm, right? And I said, yeah, I know Lindholm. You said, I think we need to bring him along for the ride. We kind of talked about stuff. I said, I don't know about Lindholm.
He's sketchy.
Yeah,
he's
you got to
sketchy.
worry about Lindholm.
The wolf.
But long story short, and going on 17, 18 years later, here we are.
Yeah, you're not wrong. What was it, 17? 2005?
2005 is when we opened our doors.
I can't do math. You're better at math.
Yeah,
What is that?
So 17 years.
17 years. Amazing. Okay. Your primary area of practice, and we'll get to this later on, though, is what?
The civil division. I head up the civil division here, so it covers a lot of different areas, but everything civil.
And uncivil, as we're going to find out.
Yes, yeah.
All right, so we'll come back to that. We always start off each episode with an update on things that are happening within the firm, outside of the firm, things that people, whether they want to know or not, we're going to tell them about, right?
Things are happening.
Lindholm has taken this entire month off. He thinks he earned it. Why?
I mean, I hate to give Lindholm too much credit, but Lindholm did have a very big win.
Huge.
And so I don't know if he deserves the time off, but he had a very big win on a case where an individual was unduly accused of some improprieties. And I got to say, for you guys to do that criminal stuff, I don't do the criminal stuff, but we've got a lot of pressure in my cases when you're representing someone that didn't do it, when you're representing someone that got unjustly accused. I can't imagine there being more pressure, and I know he was feeling that pressure, and it was serious accusations. And not only did he win it, the judge threw it out.
This is my favorite part.
Didn't even get to the jury.
This is my favorite part. So this is raw, so we can say what it was. It was a sex abuse allegation against a guy. And he was looking at 25 years. Bam, mandatory, convicted, he goes. No questions asked. The interesting part about that case, it was the third trial.
First time he tried it. Third trial overall.
Right. So the defendant had another attorney for the first two trials, hung jury on both of them, and the state was insistent upon continuing to prosecute.
And hung jury means... for those that aren't familiar,
they're not
hanging. The jury couldn't come to a conclusion, couldn't come to a decision.
Yeah. No, 100%. So it couldn't be unanimous, and if you don't have a unanimous verdict in a criminal case, you got to do it again.
Yep.
If the prosecutor wants to do it, and this prosecutor, this particular office, wanted to continue to prosecute this guy,
banging her head against the wall,
even though they had two tries, and Lindholm and Sydney. Donut, as she's better known around the...
affectionately referred to.
Tried the case, and the best part about it is this is the second time this year that this happened in our office on a big felony case. The judge said after the state presented their evidence, actually it was after defense presented their evidence, which is even kind of less likely, flat out said, "No, we're not even going to let the jury decide this. We are. This is done. This is over with. It's called a judgment of acquittal. Y'all didn't meet your burden. You had to try. State, please. You're done. Bye."
So if there was the national championship basketball game after the first half, the referees just threw one of the teams out and said, "Nope, you don't get to play the second half.
Ref
you
threw in
got
the towel.
beat too bad.
Over. Done. Yep. Phenomenal. There's a lot of joy in that for a lot of different reasons. We won't go into it now, but that's a huge deal.
Oh, it was a huge win, and most importantly, justice was achieved, and the system worked, but it worked because of all the work that Matt and Sydney did.
And the whole team. That was the one that we brainstormed the crap out of before that trial. Another case, big settlement, big resolution finally that you had out of Iowa City.
Yeah, we had. Yep. You were involved. Yeah, far be it from you to give yourself some credit too. But no, that was a case that we had worked on for, 4 or 5. We'd been on the file for 5 years, but our client, the father in this family, had passed away 7 or 8 years ago in a construction death case, and construction death cases are difficult for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons is it's a gross negligence case, and those are very difficult cases to prosecute in Iowa. Most attorneys, frankly, won't even take them because they're tough to get past summary judgment, and Bobby was instrumental in getting the case past summary judgment and surviving summary judgment, which means it doesn't get thrown out. We get it to the jury. And once we did that, and
they held out to the last minute.
Well, they really wanted to see if we were going to trial.
They were waiting until the fire was lit and firmly under their cartouche.
The Friday before we started trial that next week, they finally threw in the towel, and that was a great result for a family that truly deserved justice in that case as well.
That was. We even got to talk to the judge last week about it. It was cool. It was just a great resolution all the way around. Final bit of news is Lindholm, again, taking time off. But Lindholm, Grant, and Scott went down to Atlanta to a national conference, came back full of ideas, which they have started to provide us with. The areas, the Chris Summit down in Atlanta fired them up. So we got some work to do in the coming years, goals to set, things to accomplish. Finally, we started doing this, sending shout-outs to our, what I'll call our surrogate team NFGs, where other attorneys have done phenomenal work that are in different offices, public defender's office. Nate Mundy here in Polk County had a really amazing ruling he was able to get on a manslaughter case with drug impairment, I believe is what it was involved in. Flat out NFG on that in a pretrial motion.
Good guy and good attorney and did great work on that case.
He did a lot of work on that case and phenomenal next level work. The other is Nicole Watt out of Waterloo, got an NFG on an attempted murder where I don't think anybody expected any type of N involved in that NFG. They were thinking more FGs.
Yeah.
And she went in and walked the guy. So good work being done across the state by people that are willing to we always say that good things happen when you say ready for trial. Happens with civil cases, it happens with criminal cases, and it happens with people that are willing to take it to the next level.
It's amazing how many trial attorneys don't see the inside of a courtroom very often. There is, I would say, one other great result we should mention. We won't mention any names, but wonderful family here in Iowa lost their mother in a horrific car accident, and they came to us and had the insurance company had immediately gotten in contact with them and said, hey, we're willing to pay you this relatively small amount.
Yep.
And they said, well, do you even need to get involved? And I said, well, let's take a look, at whether or not we need to. And anyway, long story short, after a lot of digging and getting involved, we found what ended up being about 5 times as much coverage with 2 additional insurance policies that were not disclosed to those to that family. And if they would have settled, it would have been
settled before you got involved.
Yeah, before we were brought in, it would have been a life-altering mistake because the insurance that was actually available, the proceeds that were actually available, were life-changing for them. And so, really happy for that family because it's going to do a lot of good for a profound loss.
So, that is actually accidentally a perfect segue into what we're
maybe I did that on purpose.
It was accidental, I promise. Into what we're going to talk about when we come back, but we're going to take a quick break. We're going to learn a little bit about C.F. Gourley, and when we come back, we're going to talk about...
Why am I just initials now?
I like that.
Oh,
It sounds cooler.
Oh, okay.
It's like, was it, who's the author? J.K. Rowling?
J.K. Rowling?
Yeah.
Okay.
C.F. Gourley. C.F. Gourley. Own it, buddy.
Right.
We'll be back with another set of initials and why it's important and how it's important. We're going to reframe an abbreviation as it relates to what you do. You didn't know that, did you?
That sounds like a teaser.
Yep, we'll be back.
Cory F. Gourley is one of the founding members of GRL Law. Cory was born on an Air Force base in Miami, Florida, and grew up in a small town in southern Kansas. He moved to Des Moines in 1999 and graduated from law school in 2000, and is now in his 20th year practicing law, leading the Wrongful Death and Traumatic Injury Division at GRL Law. As a managing member of GRL, he is a leader at the firm and in the community. He serves on multiple nonprofit boards and was elected to the Iowa Academy of Trial Attorneys in 2018, which is generally considered the top trial attorneys in Iowa. Cory lives in West Des Moines with his wife and 2 sons and loves spending his leisure time coaching youth sports, traveling, playing golf, and making memories with friends and family. A fun fact about Cory is he holds the unique distinction of obtaining the largest jury verdict in Iowa history for one family, which he won in Polk County in 2017.
Welcome back. At the break, I do have some important news to share with you.
Okay.
All of the staff teammates, except for Melissa and Madison, are hereby fired.
Why?
I caught them.
Doing what?
We are currently filming this. What is the month?
The month is November.
Early November. We're not even at Thanksgiving yet.
It's not early November. It's
Mid.
later.
Mid-ish. It's not Thanksgiving yet.
Ish. Next week.
They thought it would be funny, understanding my preference for Thanksgiving and for holidays to have their place. They have sabotaged my office and decorated my office in a completely inappropriate manner.
With Christmas stuff?
Yep. So sorry, we're hiring. GRL's hiring. But more importantly, let's get back to business.
I don't know that we should punish their holiday spirit.
We'll talk. Back to the important thing. Off topic. I got off topic, and that's my fault. And that is my fault. I take accountability and responsibility for it. But you are the head of our civil division. We've talked, most of the prior episodes have been related to criminal impact, impact of criminal liability, some civil rights stuff, firearms, for sale by owner. What in the heck is civil law? It seems counter. What do you call that when two things they don't make sense together?
Oxymorons?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
So civil justice. What exactly is civil justice? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I talked to juries about this when I picked juries. Folks often ask, what is the civil justice system? Well, the civil justice system arose from our law and from English law before that because of what the alternative was. The alternative was uncivil justice, and uncivil justice was things like an eye for an eye. So if someone got caught hurting someone, if someone did something to someone, well, then retribution is the justice.
Used to be back Hammurabi Code, right? If I remember way back when you hurt my hand, I chop your hand off.
Absolutely, and there's some biblical references in there as well, which I'm sure you could enlighten us about if we had more time. Luckily, we don't. But yeah, so when our founders were framing our Constitution, they said we need a system of justice that is civil, that is reasonable, that is good for a common and decent society. And so what is going to be a remedy outside of the criminal justice system?
So it's cases that don't involve people going to prison, going to jail, getting punished as we normally look at it with fines. Well, I mean, kind of, but with jail time and that type of thing, right?
Yeah, people can commit acts which may constitute a criminal complaint, may constitute a criminal action, or they may do something which harms somebody in some other way, but it may or may not rise to the level of criminal accountability. And sometimes those overlap as well. But what is the redress when it's not criminal, but that you've still harmed somebody in some way?
So, just to be direct, civil justice, we're talking about lawsuits.
We are.
We're talking about suing people,
Yep.
suing companies. What I think certain advocacy groups may look at and try to label jackpot justice, right? Mm-hmm. It's the $1 billion verdict for hot coffee or cigarettes or blaming other people and getting money for it. I mean, from an outside, that's not how you vision it, but it could be looked at as that.
Well, that's a perception that has been pushed by the insurance company under the guise of tort reform.
Mm-hmm. Tort, that was the word.
Yeah,
Tort.
they're trying to present a civil justice system that has gone wild, which is just simply not the case. It is extraordinary. Our founding fathers fashioned a system that is so good because 8 folks in a box or 12 folks in a box in a federal case, they want to get it right, and it is just amazing how often they do get it right.
There's no better bullshit detector than 12 people or 8 people that never met each other.
Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah,
Get FCC
it's raw, baby.
Or,
it's
okay.
raw.
All right.
Yep. This is not over the public airways.
Well, now that I'm on it, you never know. But
other than my mom will call me and say you shouldn't swear so much.
Your mom will do that.
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
So it's lawsuits. It's you sue people. You sue people and you ask for $1 gazillion, and that makes the world right.
Yeah. That's why I talk to juries about it, because I ask them, what's the outcome of this at the end? Do you know? And someone will always raise their hand and say, it's money. You're asking for money. And I say, how does that make you feel? And sometimes a lot of times folks say, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And I say, I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree because, my father was killed in a construction accident, or my child my infant child passed away because the the daycare provider wasn't doing her job. That's a recent case we've had. What is the remedy for that? Well, in our civil justice system, because we don't go take someone else's child, or we don't go.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
And
yeah,
we
But it
don't
used
do
to happen.
uncivil justice. Yeah, and a million years ago, 1,000 years ago, that did happen. We have a civil justice system, and so the remedy is money, as opposed to other uncivil means. And so then we have to work through what that means and why.
So this is fun. I get to call you names. Because, really, some people look at it and say, oh, C.F. Gourley is the ambulance chaser of the GRL law. True? That's the general area. So if we're looking at billboards, if we're looking at buses, if we're looking at TV commercials, how are the types of cases that you handle, that you have the privilege of representing people, probably in their worst days, how are they labeled? What are they labeled as?
Well, the general umbrella is personal injury.
Okay.
Yeah.
We hear personal injury. We hear wrongful death.
For sure.
Traumatic injury. Very negative
Connotations.
Yeah. And you like the phrase personal injury, don't you?
When I was young, growing up, and I saw lawyer ads, I didn't really like them. They seemed distasteful, but I'd read personal injury. And I thought, what the hell does that mean? Personal injury. Injury it's personal to you. Is it like you stubbed your toe really bad?
You offended
and you're
me.
mad about
You
it?
offended
Yeah.
me.
So I'm taking it personal. It's a stupid term. But it's ubiquitous. People use it everywhere, and you see it in lawyer advertising. Yeah.
I think it's on our website.
Well, you should fix that. Aren't you in charge of the website?
Working on it. No, but that's the connotation.
Yeah.
And that's the label. And in fact, in our office, the internal divisions that we have the criminal division, and then we have what we call the PI division, just for sake of simplicity. We haven't thought that far ahead.
I kind of call it civil, but okay.
Okay, fine. But PI, the PI island, we've described it as that. But we need to. One of our strengths and one of our focuses at GRL is reframing, right? And taking something that may be in a negative light and saying, okay, touche, but we can own that and we can flip it and we can make it something positive. Because what the world is utterly devoid of right now, and probably will be for a long time, short of our efforts, is positive. Positivity, looking at things and saying, what can we do with something terrible that's happened? And it is. We're going to own that. We're going to respect that. But how do we not just remedy it, but make something better? How do we honor the legacy of those that have had those challenges, had those trials?
Yeah, let me expound upon that a little bit, because as I got into this
that's a big word.
area
What is that?
of,
Okay.
it's not
Okay.
like long,
Okay.
but
No.
yeah.
Yep. Sorry.
As I developed this practice area over the years for the firm, it dawned upon me that what we do on a day-to-day basis is, for lack of a better description, is we specialize in tragedy. We specialize in family, personal tragedy, and we deal with just some of the worst situations that will ever happen in the human experience with really good people. And that's not something they teach you in law school. They don't teach you, the psychology of loss. They don't teach you how you, walk a family
Stages
through
of grief
and that's really, if you're doing this the correct way, that is what you're doing, and that is where your focus needs to be. However, like you said, and to your point, that is that's the bad side of this. That is the injustice, the tragedy that we're trying to remedy. But the outcome and the other side of grief is where we go. And so that goes to, I think, the thought process you had in coming up with reframing PI.
So reframe PI for me. Reframe PI for us. Reframe PI for everybody. We don't like personal injury. We hate that name. We hate that phrase. Not hate it. It just doesn't have a good. It sucks. So, fix it.
Yeah, so instead of focusing PI on personal injury, whatever that means, we've come up with positive impact. And once again, I hate to give you credit, but I would have to say you're the one that came up with that. You did. I mean, yeah,
I did.
You were able to bring that in. But yeah, and that then not only describes what we hope to do throughout our process and helping folks through these tragedies, but also the positive and as opposed to the negative, as opposed to saying, you know, what do you specialize in? We focus on death and you know, permanent disfigurement or permanent. We're taking the focus off of the bad occurrence and focusing on going forward. And you know, our other you know, tagline you may see on our website is, we can't change the past, which we can't, but we will change your future. And that's important. And if you can change that future positively, even in the midst and in the presence of tragedy, it can have life-changing effects for families.
It's overcoming adversity.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's helping people overcome adversity, because regardless of what division we may be in law, most of the time people need lawyers, and most of the time they're bringing us involved is because there is adversity that they are facing that needs to be overcome. And we need to create a positive impact from that adversity.
Lawyers do two things. Lawyers, they don't tell you this in law school, and you figure it out down the road. Lawyers prevent problems or solve problems. That's what lawyers do. Those are basically the two avenues. And business attorneys and corporate attorneys and real estate attorneys and those folks that do all that type of stuff, they try to prevent issues down the road. We do the other thing. We solve problems. And so we solve, you know,
Like
sometimes
Vanilla
a
Ice would
criminal,
say.
If there was a problem, I'd solve it.
See?
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Wow.
All credit to the original artist.
And
but-
me understanding your obscure references. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
But so this is what I love about this topic, and this is what I'm so excited to talk about. And we're really slowly getting to where we need to go, but we're going to get there. But the whole idea of when you see these billboards, when you see these TV commercials, when you see these buses, it's my money and I need it now. It's all about the Benjamins. It's all about getting the money, and that's the marketing approach to it. And they're forgetting about the most important part of the practice of law in the civil justice system, which is compelling a positive change, requiring improvement. There's a reason that car seat requirements are what they are now today. Right? In the 70s, you just you didn't even buckle your kid up. You just threw him in the back seat.
Hell,
and said,
I laid in the back window.
Oh, I did
Yeah.
too. We had one of those station wagons where they had the seats in the back, and you're sitting there mooning people as you're driving. I didn't do that.
Mooning people.
No, I mean,
That's
but
a little weird, but okay. Yeah.
But lawsuits is what the seatbelt,
Yeah.
helmets on pedal bikes, you know, safety guards on various utensils or equipment. Things those come out of coffee not being boiling hot to where it gives you third-degree burns if it spills on you. Those came out of civil justice. And I want to focus today on, what are you doing? What are we doing to have a positive impact on our community, on people's lives, and on society as a whole? And are there some cases that we can talk about, vaguely probably, that highlight and demonstrate the positive impact, the PI in a positive light?
Yeah, the civil justice system works to remedy individual wrongs, but as a system, it makes our communities safer because of the change that it effectuates. You know, I've never had an insurance company, an adjuster, or an insurance defense attorney come to me and say, all right, you know what? We're going to settle this case, and we're going to settle it because we now understand what the family's actually gone through, and we actually understand the mistakes we truly made. We're sorry. Here's your check. Never happened once in the hundreds or if not thousands of cases we've done.
I got a question.
Yeah.
How less do you think offending parties doctors, insurance companies, we call them tortfeasors, going back to Tort Daddy days,
Yep.
Professor Albert, would have to pay if they simply apologized and said, we screwed up, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different topic, but if insurance companies did the right thing out of the gate and said, we made a mistake, and here's what the fair value of this claim is, I'd have to, I don't know, practice real estate law because there wouldn't be any job for me to do. But insurance companies...
Premiums would be lower.
Premiums would be lower, but insurance companies would make less money. Apparently, it makes more money for insurance companies to deny meritorious claims, to refuse to pay fair value on claims because, and it takes advantage of people that are in compromised financial positions because if you lose a breadwinner or if you're injured for a significant period of time, you can't do your job, you may not be able to wait for what is true justice, what is the true value of your claim, and so insurance companies take advantage of that, and they don't pay the true value. They'll pay a little bit. They'll pay a lot less on 80% of the cases, and then on the cases where we get hired, then they have to pay more, but they make more money overall. Yeah.
Well, then let's talk about the positive impact. Let's talk about a couple cases or kind of demonstration of the positive impact that it's above and beyond a monetary settlement. By the way, interesting note, GRL has this. Now I'll leave it out. I was going to talk about the year and the impact that it's had, settlements and verdicts and that kind of thing this year, but we'll come back to that at another time. But let's talk about the specific, some specific cases that have had that positive impact. If you sit in here, say we got 2-3 cases to talk about, let's start with your top. What's your don't worry about the list. Pick your top one that comes to mind right now from the heart that had a positive impact that will stick with you as the attorney that had the opportunity to help somebody.
Well, I mean, yeah, I get asked often what was the craziest case or what was the biggest case or all that type of stuff. But I like how you framed the question, what had the most positive impact. And I guess I'd start by talking about a case that was in the big scheme of things not the most serious or catastrophic injury type of result we've ever had. A client who's become a friend of the firm's, and I'll just say her first name, Teresa. She came to us because of a car accident case, and she walked away okay. The interesting thing in that case was she had a jaw injury, and you think things are going to heal and they're going to be okay. Well, it's remarkable when you have a jaw injury how many things that affects. It affects eating. It affects drinking. It affects sleeping. It affects communication. And it affects breathing. It affects virtually every aspect of your life. And the insurance company started off saying, it's not that bad.
Not our fault, somebody else's fault, or not that bad, right?
Yeah. There are only 3 defenses. But so we litigated that case, which we shouldn't have had to have done. And long story short, we got a good result in the case. They had an absolute top dollar that they would offer, even with our involvement. And after litigating the case and working it up, then we got 10 times that amount in resolution, but it wasn't ultimately the money that changed that case.
Nobody's dead. Nobody's permanently handicapped.
Yeah.
Nobody's on life support, needing lifetime. So how is this little car accident case in the grand? I mean, compared to other cases, why does this have such a positive impact? Why does this one still stick with you to this day?
The reason I say that is because of how kind and appreciative that Teresa was for what we had done. And, for us, it's what we do. It's our job. It's what we get up and tie our shoes and go to work and do every day. But she just expressed a profound amount of gratitude. And Teresa was just an amazing person. She was a kind.
Still is. She's still here.
Yeah.
She's
No.
still around.
I just mean throughout the process is what I was referring to. But yeah, she's a great human being, a kind soul, a very thoughtful, spiritual person, but she thanked me when we were done with that case, not just on her behalf, but on behalf of all of our clients and for the universe, because she said we're making the universe a better place because she believed in energy and positive energy, and she gave me this token of her gratitude, which came in this little bag, and it's a rock in the shape of a heart, and it says gratitude on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a case that would be, just every case is important, but not one of the huge catastrophic injury, death cases that we have to work on.
Well, let's be honest. In a settlement factory law firm, this is a churn and burn. We're not talking to. We don't care about universal gratitude.
Yep.
Right. So it's a little different.
And I also want to give a shout out to Melissa, our senior paralegal, my primary paralegal who's been with me for 20 years. Teresa got her one as well for the impact that Melissa had on her, because she cared so much about Teresa's plight that during that time, and just the impact that she shared it had on her, us caring for her and spending the time to walk her through that difficult period of time. For something that might be commonplace for other firms. I don't know, it just meant a lot that she do that.
Well, it's a simple gesture, but it reminds you, and it reminds us, it reminds the team of what's going on is bigger than a settlement. It's bigger than one case. It's bigger than one verdict. It impacts people's lives. This is a personal, very, very, if you give a shit. Well, this is a very personal practice.
We do it a little bit differently. You won't see our faces on, billboards. You won't see our, faces out there or our names as much. GRL Law is our law firm, but the focus is on the folks that we can help, the families we can help, and the Teresas that need help. And when good people need lawyers that can help them.
That's right.
Yep.
And so that's a very personal, positive impact.
Yeah.
Is there another case that has had an impact above and beyond at a personal level for the individual that we've helped that you would point to and say, that was worth the fight? That was worth the shit show that went with this?
Yeah.
Because every now and then we just take on causes.
Yeah. A friend of mine called me a number of years ago and said that he had a cousin who had been assaulted, and she was 12 at the time, and she'd been assaulted by an adult. And
not just any kind of assault; it was a sexual assault.
Yeah, it was a sexual assault. It's tough to even contemplate or talk about now, but it was her friend's stepfather, and he said, "Is there anything we can do?" And I said, "Not civilly, no, because there's not going to be any insurance policy that covers it."
Blood out of a turnip kind of
analogy.
Yeah,
there's just not going to be redress, and I can't tell you to hire us and pay us a lot of money, to do it, because there's not going to be, you wouldn't make that money back up, but. He said, well, would you at least meet with them and talk them through what had happened? And I said, well, yeah, absolutely. I'd be more than happy to meet with them. So I met with the parents, and the parents told me the story of what had happened, which was horrifying. And at the end they said, and the guy he pled to a Class D felony, 5-year prison sentence, and he got out in, 18 months or 2 years or something, is the prison sentence he served for sexually assaulting a 12-year-old. And the mom turned to me and said, that's not justice. I thought, oh, shit, son of a bitch. No, that's not justice. So I said, all right, here's what we'll do. Yeah. I said, I'll file a lawsuit, and they'll know that it's a bad situation for them, and they'll quit and do what's called a confession of judgment, and they'll say, okay, here we go, we confess judgment, and then maybe they'll try to bankrupt it or something down the road, but we'll just cause them a little more problem. Well, I certainly won't go through this entire case, but because of the conduct of the perpetrator, some of the conduct of his counsel we weren't real fond of. They kind of upset us, and we ended up going to trial on that case. And when I closed it,
Hold on. I thought you were just going to make life miserable for the guy for a little bit. You ended up taking it all the way to trial.
Yeah. We went to trial because he kept pissing me off. And so and I guess I should.
We
back
hold
up.
grudges here.
Yeah. I guess I should say, the vast majority of our practice is what is contingency fee cases. So we don't get paid unless our clients get paid, and we're
On the civil side.
yeah, exactly, and we're compensated more when they're compensated more. So our interests are aligned, and that's industry wide. That's not just us, but it works well. But in this case, we knew there wasn't going to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, because we were never going to get paid. This guy was in prison, but yeah, they kind of upset me, so we ended up going to trial.
So this is an important. This is a mentality, important mentality that we have here. And correct me if I'm wrong. We give everybody the opportunity to do the right thing, to cut their losses, to fess up, to apologize.
Easy way or the hard way?
Yeah, and say. I mean, we do it on both criminal side. We do it on the civil side. We'll give you an opportunity to do the right thing. But if you don't, we will burn your fucking village.
Can you say that?
Yes.
Oh, I
yes.
see.
This is raw. But that's the mentality that we have here. Like, we're going to give you a chance to do it and do it the right way. And there's times where we understand that there's going to be a fight, and the fight is what it is, and we're going to duke it out, and we're going to shake hands at the end of it. There's other times where we give you the opportunity. You thumb your nose at us. You disrespect our clients. You disrespect the people that we're representing, and all bets are off. Like, we're torches. That's what's happening. Pitchfork and torches, and we're not stopping until you're bent upside down, hanging from your toes with spaghetti. That's how we do it.
I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about there.
I lost my. I went too far.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I demanded. I think. $5 million in this case, and my client has given me permission to give general information about the case, but the defense attorney said, you don't get $5 million verdicts in Iowa. That's way bigger than what juries will ever give. And I said, yeah, but your client sexually assaulted a child. That's it's pretty egregious. Oh well, but it's not that much. I'm like, well, I mean, whatever. I mean. Even if he confesses judgment, he could have bankrupted it at that point in time, because compensatory damages, which are damages you are paid for everything you go through generally, this is a little bit outside the scope of the conversation, but can be bankrupted or are dischargeable in bankruptcy if that goes above and beyond what you can pay. But punitive damages are not.
And
so
tell us about how big this bonfire was.
Yeah, he took it to. He didn't.
This actually went to a jury trial.
Yeah,
did not admit liability. Did not admit fault. We kind of summary judgment part of it, but you had to try You had to try this case to a jury.
Yeah, I tried this case to a jury, and the most important part was not the trial or any of the outcome. It was I didn't think my client would be able to go through this process, because when you go through a trial, you have to kind of relive that tragedy, and we have very specific techniques that we use to effectively convey that to a jury of peers. But I didn't want to put her through that again. And my client, one of the bravest human beings I have ever come across, said, no, I want to do this. I want to tell my story. I want to tell those people, and I want them to tell me if it's worth something or if I'm not worth anything. And at the end of the day, our clients are our boss. Mm-hmm. And I had worked with her therapist a lot through this process and said, how is this going to affect her? But ultimately, we all agreed that her being able to own this process was very important to her recovery. And so
she took back control.
She did. She took back control from a person that never should have had any control over anything. But so in that story, or in that trial, we always tell the story of the human lives that have been affected. And so we didn't just ask for compensatory damages, we asked for punitive damages. And those are rare in Iowa, but those are meant to punish people that have done, really bad conduct, that have done, just the worst, the most egregious stuff. And so in this situation, what I said was that we explained the criminal process. And I said, but that wasn't justice. And so I said, we need our justice system to speak more loudly. And so I said, if you awarded $1 million, then the courthouse is going to hear about that, because $1 million verdict's a big verdict. And I said, if you award $5 million, people downtown Des Moines, they're going to be talking about $5 million. I don't remember all the denominations. I said, $20 million. All of Iowa is going to be talking about this. And I said, but why is it important for people to talk about this? It's important because if people know about this guy and they know what he has done and what he's capable of, then maybe the next time he moves next to a potential victim, to someone that's young and vulnerable, maybe they'll recognize this guy and he won't be able to do this again. And I said, so I want to put a scarlet letter on him, but not a scarlet letter A, a scarlet letter J for justice. And I said, the bigger this verdict is, the more loudly it speaks, and the less likely it is that this injustice ever occurs again. And the jury awarded what we believe to be the biggest verdict for one individual person in Iowa history, which was $127 million.
Boom! That's a big bonfire.
That was a pretty big letter, pretty big scarlet letter. So screw that guy.
but well, screw that guy. I mean, that's the point. That's a positive impact, because that's something that reverberates. And for that guy, for anybody who may be contemplating, if there's a thought process that goes into that kind of thing. But it sends a message as well that leave our freaking kids alone.
Yeah.
And if not, we give you a chance to do the right thing, but there's going to be a big bonfire if you don't.
Should have taken the $5 million.
Like we said, we're going to create the bus that says "should have settled bus." That people can jump on.
Yeah.
We'll just take them. Yeah. So another one that had a positive impact that still sticks with me is what we commonly refer to. We still have it. We still have the proper railing in our stairwell, but it's the balcony case, and that's one that, from a legal standpoint, had a huge impact across the state. I mean, we were kind of chapped by the way the case went down. I think ultimately the right things happened and it all worked out. But what can you tell us about the balcony case and the positive impact that case had? Because I got to admit, I told you we shouldn't take that case when it first came.
Yeah, so it came to us, and the general story of that case was, what are you looking at?
I know.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I see.
As you talk,
Okay.
I'll refresh.
So the story was a young lady was at her friend's apartment and had fallen up over the balcony of the deck, and she died. And as information came out, there were allegations made that she was intoxicated, and she may have had some pot in her system as well. And so, as the defense frames this, drunk high girl falls off a balcony and dies, and then they're trying to sue us. So, that had part of the
My knee-jerk reaction
right.
was,
Bob was like, that's no good. And I said, well, let's look into it. So we looked into it, and first thing we found out was we sent an investigator out there and found out the railing was 12 inches below what code was. So that's a problem. And so then the next question.
You don't realize that 12 inches below where the code is, it literally hits you about halfway on your hamstrings.
We actually recreated the fall itself with an engineer out of Arizona State University.
That was so
we
cool.
did a recreation, and he showed the difference of a person falling up against a railing of the right height, which would have come up mid-back, and the wrong height, which cut her legs out from under and sent her backwards.
Yep.
Well, so then the next argument by defense was, well, yeah, but the building's old. A million years ago when it was built, that was the right height, which can be true unless you renovate the property. And so they had renovated the property. And as we continued to dig, we found out that they had been brought in front of the Housing and Appeals Board, not just once, not just twice, but multiple times, and been cited for all different types of safety violations, including, I don't know, number 47 or whatever, which was fix the railings, raise the railing heights. And then unbeknownst to me at that time, to us at that time, Housing and Appeal Board meetings are transcribed.
This is a beautiful example of team.
Yeah. And so we found the transcription of when they were brought before the Housing and Appeals Board, and they were getting in trouble for the third or fourth or whatever time for not having this stuff done.
I hate to say this. I think it was Lindholm's idea
I doubt it.
to get that, to ask for those minutes.
Smells like my idea.
You just said you didn't know they existed.
Well, we asked for everything, and we asked for everything. Yeah.
No, but
I honestly don't remember.
It was a
idea
collective
was.
request.
I do not remember.
And within those minutes it was smoking gun.
They
Smoking
say
Village.
there's very rarely a Perry Mason moment or a smoking gun moment in trial or anything, but this really did have a smoking gun, and it was one of the owners of this apartment complex's last statement in this meeting was, as he's getting raked over the coals for not
Told to fix
for
it.
unsafe. He said, "Hey, it's not as if anybody has fallen off and died yet," and that was 10 days before our client Shannon, who I never was able to meet, fell off and died because they didn't want to spend the money to get around and fixing the damn railing. And getting to the point that you made, it wasn't about investigation. We had a good investigation in that case, but I was so involved in that case and so emotional about that case that we went to trial and we won that case as well, and they offered us a very small amount, and the verdict was around 1.2 million in that case, which at that time that was for parental consortium.
Yeah, that was a
It was
big
under
deal.
a new statute. It was the biggest parental consortium statute at that time, so it was for the parents' loss of their daughter, which was a new type of damage at that time when we tried that case, but. The judge took it away. The judge said, because of some legal technicalities, we don't think that I made a bad ruling, and so he took the entire thing away and reversed it and granted the defense a new trial. And I brought in Bobby at that point, and I said, I need help because I'm going to freak out. I mean, I just
a rough day.
poured our whole heart and soul into that, got in the big win. The judge took it away. And Bobby said, "Yeah, I got it." And he
You even hauled the correct railing into the courthouse.
Yeah, no, we
trying.
brought the railing
like-
in.
it's
yeah.
huge.
Oh yeah, we've still got it.
Yeah.
Here.
But the important part of that, so the reason that it got taken away was there was an argument that city ordinances, city housing codes couldn't create a basis for liability on landlords because they were only municipal ordinances and not state ordinances.
They weren't as
They weren't
strong or as
statewide.
important
Yeah.
as state laws. And we're like, that's stupid. It's a law. I mean,
Yeah.
a law's a law. And so Bobby took over that appeal for me, and Bobby won that appeal. We on the appropriate legal points, we won that appeal, and ultimately it ended up with us getting the resolution we had desired the entire time.
But the importance of the positive impact on that case altogether was that now, under established Iowa Supreme Court precedent, city ordinances have the force and effect of law. If a landlord doesn't follow it and somebody gets hurt as a result, that is evidence of negligence. That is a standard that everybody has to follow. And you can't say, oh, no, we don't have to do that.
And so we actually changed the law in Iowa for the betterment and the safety of everybody and everybody's child who might be at somebody else's apartment at some point. And interestingly enough, I'm currently working on another apartment fall case where a landlord didn't had a faulty railing for another reason. And so here we go again.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. cheers to positive impact, because I love the fact of flipping that PI from a negative to a positive and doing what we can to overcome adversity and be positive impacts on our community, on our clients, and the state, and wherever we're at.
Yeah, the end of Shannon's life was not a personal injury. It wasn't a wrongful death. It was a life that ended too shortly because of preventable, very, very preventable reasons, and changing the state law to make sure that those that are responsible for people's safety comply with those responsibilities and those laws is a positive impact and hopefully saves other folks, children's lives. So cheers to that. Good
Cheers
work.
to positive impact, boss.
Yeah.
All right. We will be back shortly. We're gonna go from serious to hopefully a little lighter side with a brand new do's and don'ts with the one and only Donut. We'll be back. Thank you.
Lawyers kind of do two different things. They either solve problems or they prevent problems. And we're kind of in the business of solving problems, I would say. And there's two different parts to the justice system, the civil justice system, the criminal justice system. And it kind of depends on which problem you're solving. Did someone do something that broke the law that was a criminal violation, or did someone do something that violated your civil type of rights? And so these guys solve problems that are criminal in nature, and I try to solve problems that are more civil in nature, so they're lawsuits as opposed to actual criminal charges, if that makes sense.
Welcome back. Sorry, since we're rolling. Do's and Don'ts with Donut, episode
I don't know.
8?
Yeah, maybe 9.
Because this is episode 9, but
So
we
then
didn't
8.
do Donut first.
Yeah.
Episode 8 of the Donut. We got pretty intense earlier on in this episode, so we need to lighten things up.
Okay.
Leave people feeling happy.
Uh,
Are we gonna do
yeah,
that with
I
this,
mean,
this week's do's and don'ts?
we could make it silly, maybe. It's Christmassy.
Okay, perfect.
There we
I'll
go.
cheers to Christmassy,
Cheers.
the holidays.
Trying this in the
Mm-hmm.
coffee mug.
This is a new delicious beverage.
It's good.
It is.
Yeah.
It's really good. They haven't paid us, so we're
I
not going to
approve.
show the bottle.
I approve.
We'll work on that.
Are you ready?
I am ready. Let's go. Let's do this.
Okay. Title: Parents renting Airbnb party pad for teen debauchery.
Hold on. This was the very first one that we had. When the
No,
people
that
were
was a murder in the Airbnb.
Okay. Go.
It's not the same Airbnb.
Okay. Different?
I
Different host?
I mean,
hopefully?
maybe.
Okay, go.
A parent just told me his kid has asked him to chaperone a Christmas party for a friend whose parents are renting him an Airbnb event space. I warned him there are probably some social host laws that might apply to him, the parents on the contract, and even the property owner. I'm not very good at rating, apparently. He said, I'm sure the kids will bring alcohol, pot, pills, and whatever they do nowadays. So who's liable if this party gets busted or if a teen is arrested for DUI leaving the party? If the party is raided, will the teens be rounded up and cited? I'm worried the guy is getting himself into hot water and I don't want my daughter to attend. If I went as her chaperone, am I putting myself in the same situation as the other dad?
Wait. This brings the year full circle,
Does it?
doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're back in an Airbnb party, which, as we've learned, if there's going to be underage
People die.
kids
People die.
or murderers,
Dances.
things might go wrong and you might end up on the legal advice subreddit
Oh my God.
asking for legal advice. Should you be a chaperone for an underage drinking party where, quote, I'm sure the kids will bring alcohol, pot, pills, and whatever else they do nowadays?
So, I'm going to step back because I am probably going to be considered old school
Okay.
on the parenting spectrum. What would new school Donut?
Oh, I don't
do?
think that. If I ever have kids, they're on a leash until they're 21. Mm-hmm. There's no way.
I think we can do a definitive rule right out of the chute that covers all of this shenanigans. what would you throw out there?
Mine would be don't ever rent out an Airbnb for children to drink at.
Thank you.
Or allow your kids to have a party at your house.
Or knowingly, willfully tell your kids, yeah, go to that party. Can we start there?
Yeah.
Like, no. A, no. B, no. C, no. D, no.
For liability purposes, though, you're not going to be liable if you allowed your child to go.
So, you're just a bad parent.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
This is raw. I can say that.
Yeah.
If you let your kids go to boozing, drinking, drugging, unchaperoned, just all of that
Even
together.
chaperoned.
Even chaperoned, because that's even creepier.
I know it is kind of creepy.
That's just bad parenting.
Freaky deaky.
Okay. But I'll take out my judgment. I'm going to take it aside. Let's talk law. Because that's what we do here.
Yes.
We
that
don't
is
judge.
what we do.
don't judge. We apply the law. First, social host.
Yes. Usually immune. If
Immune.
you're having adults of the legal drinking age in your home to drink, or probably in your Airbnb,
But the exception is
underaged,
providing and knowingly allowing.
or reason to believe.
True. Allowing or reason to believe underage people are drinking, drugging, and
Or
doing
possessing.
bad things. Importantly, under your supervision.
Yeah.
If you are assuming supervision of minors who you have reason to know are doing bad things, your butt is wide open for liability.
Yep.
Social host, if you're having a party, you're a social host. Like we're going to Gourley's house tonight.
Yeah.
He doesn't know it. He's having a wine dinner.
Gourley's party.
Gourley's party. If we're all grown-ups and he's throwing a party, like he can throw good parties. And there may be wine, there may be fancy drinks, there may be a chef who kind of knows how to cook. And we go there and we have a good time and we are irresponsible, drive home, hurt somebody. Does Gourley get rung up?
Gourley does not.
No. Gourley is not liable unless he's selling, right? He has to be, there has to be some type of...
Wouldn't he have to be like a license? He would have to have a license to sell liquor.
But so there's an exception for people who just host parties. You can host a party, and then it's up to everybody else to be responsible.
Because the proximate cause
Is
is
your
not
own dumbass.
serving alcohol, but consuming alcohol.
And then what you do after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So social host, but with minors is different. You're allowing children. First of all, supplying alcohol to a minor that results in a death is
I think Class D.
It's a Class D felony.
Yeah.
It's a felony. So
And an aggravated misdemeanor if it's a serious injury.
Yep. So you don't want to be in that position
No.
as a parent or as a grown up.
But even under Iowa's social host of gatherings of underage or underage children drinking on your property,
Oh, good
you don't
point.
even have to possess them with alcohol. You can just have reason to believe that they are drinking alcohol on your property where you lease or where you have control of.
So you don't have to supply it.
No.
If you, for civil liability, as
Yeah.
we learned about civil liability earlier today, for civil liability attached, if you knowingly or have reason to know that you're permitting juvenile minors, people under the age of 21, consuming alcohol, drugs, whatever it may be on your premises, your butt's in a ringer.
Yeah. You're not in a good spot.
So don't host underage drinking parties.
No.
Don't.
That's why my kids will be on leashes.
Yeah.
You know, in high school, you're like, why do you got to be so strict?
Oh, hold on. Your mom is going to appreciate this.
Okay. I never threw a party.
No, but I'm sure you're
I
like,
was a
why can't I
good
go,
girl."
Mom? Why can't I go?
No.
Now you know.
No. I didn't have many rules. I didn't have many rules because I was like an inherent rule follower. So
Are we lying?
no.
Okay.
No, I was one of the first friends out of my friend group to turn 16.
So you're the
too.
driver.
So I started out as the driver, and then all my friends turned 16, and I'm still driving everywhere.
Okay.
So I had that, but I really was, especially in high school, a rule follower. So I didn't have many rules.
Okay.
I was getting people out of situations. I definitely attended my fair share.
And that's do not rent. So Drake is in college.
Yep.
And he mentioned that his one of his roommates the parents were going to rent a place, Airbnb or whatever, for a birthday party.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, there is no way
Yeah.
in hell I would ever be like, hey, freshman boys, I rented you a spot. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right? That's just
Have a great night.
that is irresponsible.
Yeah.
Don't rent out a hotel. Don't rent out a motel. Don't rent out a Holiday Inn, Airbnb, VRBO for underage people to partake in anything. Not going to happen.
No.
And
Bad.
then don't authorize minors to consume alcohol or drugs on a premises that you control.
Yeah.
That's a bad deal.
It is.
Those are the types of situations that GRL comes in on the other side and makes you ready for it, a positive impact.
Yep.
And lights a village on fire.
For sure. And kids are going to be kids. Teenagers are going to be teenagers. High schoolers. Do not involve yourself.
Let them do it without you knowing.
Let them do it, and
they'll do it.
Don't know about it, or catch it before it happens, or
be proactive and explain why that's an irresponsible, bad idea.
Yeah.
Try to coach them up.
Not that they'll probably care that much. It's all about having fun, but
they're gonna
don't
do it.
get involved.
No. So do we have a do out of this? Be a good parent, I guess.
Yeah. Do have adult parties.
Yes, amen.
Do have adult parties. Do throw parties at Gourley's house.
Do have Cory invite us.
Yes.
We weren't invited.
Don't not invite us.
Don't. True.
Don't have underage drinking parties in your house or an Airbnb that you've rented.
Don't facilitate opportunities for really bad things to happen, because the results of that, the consequences of that can be, as we found in episode 1 of Do's and Don'ts with Donut.
Yeah, tragic.
Can be terrible.
Yeah.
Can be terrible. So
tragic for you, everyone involved.
do exercise some reasonableness, some basic self-restraint. Do be a good parent.
And do understand that, like, if you're allowing your high school probably child to have more than 10 people in your basement,
do have our
think
number
about
ready.
it, maybe.
Do have our number ready, because we can help.
Yeah.
But that's a good one. That's holidays coming up, parties
Christmas,
coming up, New Year's.
New Year's.
A lot of things to think through.
Yep.
Be proactive. Be protective.
Yep.
We just threw 2 P's right back to back. I'll drink to that because I
And
don't
party.
I don't have a third. And do party. But
Party if you're
party
older.
responsibly.
Yeah.
All right.
Cheers.
Do's and Don'ts with Donuts. We will be back after the first of the year
Sweet.
with a brand new episode.
Nothing's going to be copied from this episode.
None.
All new.
All new, brand new, new content. Party on. Have a great one.
We can't change the past, but we will change your future. GRL Law. Thanks for tuning in to GRL Raw. Check us out at grllaw.com.